So today's agenda is let's talk about the topic for today. So it's going to be a welcome and introduction and the 20 landscape. So what's happening around the identity in 2020, AI versus AI, and we are going to discuss about the governing of non and as well as the next generation life cycle management, guys. Well, the shift of human to machine. Okay, okay, what's the shift here? So the security is very first aspect of the organization, guys. Okay, security is always first. Why is this shift is happening here? The identity is no longer just about a people. It's that acts like a one. What's changing here? The usual traditional focus used to be on human identities, guys, like employees, partners, customers, all that. But today, the rapid growth of non-human identities such as bots, APIs, service accounts, AI agents, ML agents, all of that. The machine identities are now outnumbered humans 10 is to 1 plus. Like if I want one identity to be fully functional in the organization, I need at least 10 service accounts operating behind the identity, guys. Okay, so you can just imagine, as I said, 10 is to 1 plus. Each identity, whatever the applications the user is holding, okay, each application would definitely have a service account or an administrator account, that is managing that user, right? So that's what it is. Yeah. So what is the security paradigm shift here? So earlier it used to be humans first, but now it's machines first. As the security, it's no longer. It's going to be all AI-driven dynamic governance. Okay, so it's going to be a pure AI-driven governance here. What's the risk here? Okay, so it's all fine. Okay, so we are moving from human to machine identities. Okay, as our security priorities are being changed, as the organizations are moving to the cloud here. The risk is, well, the machines operate at a scale and a speed beyond humans, right? Okay, what happens there? The lack of flexibility plus the manual processes. So that's gonna cause, that's equal to your security gaps. Okay, so if there are a lot of security gaps within the organization, then it leads to a lot of risk, guys. Okay, it leads to a breaches, a security breaches within the organization. So for example, a service account quietly gains an excessive access, over the time, and it exploits, without detection, of because of, it exploits because no one owns it, yeah, or use it. Okay, if somebody reviews it, then okay, they would take an action on the account. Is appropriate, whether it has all the least privileges or not, whether is it an excessive access privileges the account is holding, what exactly it happens, or if there is an owner, so definitely the owner will look into it, right? So he owns it because he always takes care of it. Yeah, so that's what it is. So if nobody owns it or nobody reviews it, then it leads to your security gaps. Yeah, so that's the importance of a service account here, guys. Okay, as we can see by the example, we can imagine that okay, there is a huge importance of our security accounts or the bots, all of that. All right. The next thing I have here is the 2026 identity landscape. Okay, so what's driving 2026 here, guys? Identity is equals to our new parameter here, guys. Okay, a new parameter. So the network boundaries are being faded here. Okay, so access control is now the core of security. Okay, the pure access controls are the core of your security and the governance. The exploitation of human identities, contractors, partners, all of them. Okay, non-human identities are nothing but my service accounts, bots, AI agents, or SaaS integration based accounts, all of that. Cool. Okay, rise of identity based attacks. As we are hearing a lot of identity based attacks, why they are happening here? Because of the credentials abuse, okay, the leakage of credentials, or a privilege escalation, I would say, or a token theft. Okay, that can lead to a identity based attacks here. Well, there's a lot of growing pressure on compliance, right? So organization needs to be compliant. Hence, the regulatory rules are being changed every time. You need to follow all those rules there. Yeah. So the stronger access governance is required. Okay, improved auditability is required. As you improve the audit frequency or the way of audit, you know, it can streamline your regulatory processes, guys. Yeah. So we can enforce at least privileges to the users, okay, which is a necessary thing for every identity, either it's human or non-human identity. Well, an attacker steals, okay, so for example, an attacker steals a token from a SaaS integration and gains a silent access to the multiple systems without triggering a traditional alerts. Okay, usually we get a network alerts if something goes wrong, if some malpractices happens there. Okay, if nothing happens, then no, it's well, it leads to your token expiration, or yeah, a stealed token can lead to a lot of integration breaches or a security breaches, I would say. All right. Well, the third topic I would like to discuss here is no, the very important topic: AI versus AI, guys. Well, defending identity with SailPoint AI. Okay, attackers are using AI. Okay, now attackers have started using AI. Okay, now how we need to defend, guys? Okay, we can't defend, as in humans, right? So you cannot defend AI, as we are humans. We cannot defend them. So we also need to use uh, AI for our defense mechanism too. Why? As the opponent is very stronger, we also needs to be equally stronger so that we can uh, take action on the attackers. Well, the evaluation of attacks is like maybe an automated phishing campaign, okay, AI driven credential stuffing, or behavior mimicking, like behavioral making, like acting like a legitimate user and entering into the organization network, and yeah, it can lead to a breach over there. Yeah, so these are all the evaluations of attacks. So why the traditional security fails here? Yeah, because the static rules can't keep up these AI things here, guys. Okay, static rules will always see, okay, whether the user meets certain rules, within the policy or not. Okay, if that meets up, then okay, it just pass it through there. Okay, that's why I'm saying the manual policies is not equal to the adaptive real-time threats. Okay, that's what. So always manual policies is not our real-time threats. Okay, that's our adaptive, real-time threats here. Cool. Now, AI-driven identity security. No, that's a sale point. AI. Well, so behavioral analytics, guys. Okay, behavioral analytics. So detecting the anomalies in access patterns and login patterns, it is much necessary here. Okay, analytics plays a key role, if you want to mitigate the risks over time. Yeah, so somebody logging into the unusual hours into the organization network or a device, no, yeah, or somebody gains an excessive access within a time period or with a short time period. Okay, so it has to be audited or acknowledged by the concerned teams. Yeah, risk scoring as well. So when I say risk scoring, the dynamic risk scoring, so which is purely on the weightage of access privileges, access policies that are detected on top of the user, or the dependency of audit. So that's a real-time access decisions. Okay, whether they have been properly audited within the time period, or yeah, to meet all the regulatory rules and regulations over there. Well, nowadays you might have heard the smart access decision recommendations, guys. Okay, so SailPoint do have an AI so that can give or ask you smart recommendations. Okay, so based on your access history, based on your privileges, so it does proper decision. Okay, whether you can approve this access, or what decision you can take on top of this particular request, or on this particular review item. Okay, all right. Okay, that's one of the core thing. Smart access recommendations are there. Risk scoring, behavioral analytics, yeah, and then this smart recommendations. Okay, well, the best example I can say is AI do detect a service account accessing the sensitive financial information or the financial data at an unusual hour, and it flags as a risk, before the breach occurs or before it leads to a security threat or a breach within the within the organization or the other topic I have for today is governing non-human identities, guys. NHIs. Well, you might have heard NHIs everywhere. These days it has become more popular. You know, Everybody might have heard about NHIs. Okay, and non-human identity, because of the growth in the importance. Okay, as the importance is growing, dependency is growing. Eventually, the non-human identities, security is also growing for us. Okay, so bots, identities, service accounts, AI agents. Well, NHIs are the biggest blind spot in most of the organizations, guys. If somebody theft your token, API token, then yeah, it can lead to an application breach. Okay, application security breach, I would say. Yeah, as I said in the first slide of mine today, as I told you guys, like it needs to be functional, then at least 10 service accounts needs to be operated behind that account, right? That's what it is. Yeah, as the organizations are moving to the cloud, Yeah, so everything has become more important here. Okay, that's my NHIs, non-human identities. So what are NHIs here? The NHS are my service accounts, APIs, okay, RPA bots, chatbots, all that, as well as the AI agents, ML agents, all those comes under my NHIs. Why? No, why are they very risky for us? Often, the service accounts are the overprivileged accounts in an application, right? When I say overprivileged, they would have all the administrator accesses over there, yeah, and rarely audited. Okay, so they are very rarely audited. Well, so if you have timely audit on top of them, then it can reduce lot of breaches, yeah, and it can make our security posture as a stronger one. Yeah. So if it is rarely audited, then it is highly risky. No, if you start hard coding the credentials or no unmanaged, if you are not managing them properly, then yeah, it can also leads to a risk. Yeah, so it needs to be properly managed, within the organization, guys. Okay, that's over time, things have been, as I said, the importance is growing day by day. Hence, it needs to be properly managed as more importance towards the non-human identities than our human identities. What are the common pitfalls here? Okay, let's try to deep dive into more pitfalls. Yeah. So as I previously telling about the ownership and the access reviews, right? So if no ownership assigned, then yeah, it can leads to a breach again. Yeah. So no proper life cycle management. So we do need a proper life cycle management for non-human identities as well, and no proper certification in place or a proper periodic review in place. So we do need a proper review and an audit in place for such accounts here. Okay, as the importance is growing for us. All right. Okay, for example, a forgotten API service account with an excessive privileges gets exploited because it had an owner and no review and had no credentials rotation. Well, you guys might have heard about CyberArk. Yeah, how many of you are heard about CyberArk, guys? You guys know like what exactly is CyberArk? MyPAM, right? So MyPAM, it's a PAM, Privileged Access Management. Yeah, so CyberArk is our privileged access management platform or a solution. It offers you with the session recording, password rotation, yeah, and all of that. So no, what I'm saying is the credentials rotation. So if you have a CyberArk in place, then well, your password will start rotating on time. Like nobody knows what exactly the password of that service account. Yeah, as it changes within the fraction of seconds, or it hides you. Okay, you will be able to log into the system, but no, not with your actual password. No, there would be another encrypted password. No, the moment you log into the platform. Okay, so password rotations are also very important, for a service account or an administrator account. All right, so what does the best practices say here? Okay, so if you are a lead engineer or if you are going to be a cybersecurity engineer, then I would say list out all the machine identities, guys. Okay, so discover the machine identities first. Okay, try to be aware of them, and then start assigning the ownerships, guys. Okay, so the accountability do matters here. Okay, that's your yeah, CIA. Okay, so we all know what does CIA says in your cybersecurity here. Yeah, confidentiality, integrity, and accountability. Well, the accountability is very much needed. Well, so assigning the ownerships. Okay, so list out, identify them first, and then start assigning the ownership for those accounts. And do enforce the least privileges, guys. Okay, ensure that the time you create the account or the time you start using the account, uh, it should have all the least privileges that it's supposed to be having. And then the life cycle governance as well. So yes, life cycle governance is also a key, a special point, I would say, in our best practices here. Okay, so why I'm saying, so from the start of the creation of the account to the deletion of the account or decommissioning of the account there. So the moment you create the account, you need to have all the right approvals, right privileges, and you need to ensure the account is created for a right purpose as well. Yeah. And if you are modifying the account, okay, ensure that okay the right things are being modified and it has been adopted as well. Yeah, and then the decommissioning here. So as we all know, the decommissioning is the account removal process. So you need to have a proper approvals and a proper decommissioning process within the sector of these NHIs. Okay, so NHIs do matter, not the no, not only the human identities, the NHIs do matter in our life cycle governance. Okay, okay, the next thing I have is the managing the credentials. So as we just spoke about the credentials management thing, yeah. So well, managing the credentials do matter here. Okay, so the password needs to be rotated. So those accounts needs to be managed via the cybersecurity platforms like CyberArk or Beyond Trust or okay, there are a lot of other platforms. Okay, ForgeRock do have a platform. Yeah, Savian do have its own PAM. Yeah, so at least one PAM tool must be in place in order to do all that hard coding. Okay, you need to avoid those hard coding and encryption processes. No, you need to proper encryptions and you need to have a proper rotation as well. All right, so these are all the list of best practices I would like to mention. So yeah, now just try to make a note of them, like what does in non-human identities and what are those importance here and what are those best practices to handle or pick them up. So when you have them, okay, ensure that okay you follow all the best practices to keep it more secured. Well, the next topic I have for today is the next generation life cycle management, guys. Okay? The next generation life cycle management. Well, as things are moving to the cloud, yeah, so it needs to be streamlined. You need to have a streamlining, JML process with SailPoint Security Cloud. Okay, so you need to have a SailPoint, cloud in order to have a proper, life cycle management. Well, the lifecycle management must be a real-time, automated, and intelligence-driven. Okay, it should have an ability to do the intelligence-driven. Well, what are the challenges with our traditional JML processes, guys? Okay, okay. So, what is JML, guys? Okay, joiner, lever, mover processes. Okay, so JML is nothing but a joiner process, mover process, lever process. Yep. All right. So, well, the traditional, no, the challenges with the traditional process is delays is in access access provisioning, guys. Well, the user is terminated, but the access is not removed immediately. So this is one of the common issues I've seen with my customers, that okay, well, the user is terminated with today's date, but he still have access to certain systems. Okay, so what to do in this scenario here? Okay, so we need to ensure no that the access deprovisionings are, happened at a right time. okay, with an immediate effect over there. Yeah, so there shouldn't be any delays in your access provisioning, guys. Okay, well, orphan accounts. Okay, so orphan accounts is also a big problem. Okay, well, sometimes what happens, the user might be terminated after your termination. Okay, so it might lead to an orphan account. Yeah, it can lead to the orphan account. Like, maybe not being properly having with all the right details. Okay, so all the time the details should match with the HR account. Okay, so your account should always do match with your HR account. So if it does mismatch at least with a one letter, or with some numeric or some special character, then what happens is, okay, it can lead to an orphan account. Okay, the system might and that account would still be present in the system, and it can be an orphan account over there. Yeah, so orphan accounts can lead to a security breach again, as attackers can target those type of accounts. Right. And data consistency. Okay, the other point I would like to discuss is, the data inconsistency, guys. Okay, so data consistency do matter, here, no, across the systems. So the data should be similar with all the similar attributes, all the similar values. No, so when I say similar attributes, okay, we had one implementation like where we had to look for a last login a date. Okay, so every application within the organization should have that last login date attribute. Okay, to ensure that the user is logged into the platform. Okay, to ensure that user is still active in the platform, to ensure that the user is being monitored properly or audited properly. Yeah, so such kind of requirements, guys. Okay, so such kind of pointers we need to have, to ensure that the data is consistent across the platform. Yeah, across the systems are there. Okay, if it is inconsistent, then it can cause a lot of you know, challenges for us. Well, what are the next generation JML capabilities here? Okay, okay, now we need to see, we just saw, like, what exactly, what are the challenges with the traditional JML setup. Okay, and what is the future of our next generation capabilities. Okay, that's our JML capabilities. Well, the first thing I would say is event driven provisioning, guys. Okay, and event driven provisioning. Well, if HR triggers an instant access changes or instant no, attribute changes to the user, so then it should cause our processes within our platform there. Okay, so that's our event driven. Okay, when I say event driven, so if something happens, that should have a proper event procedures in the event processes designed in the platform. Okay, so whatever the IGS solution you're using, then you need to have that process of event. If there is certain described procedure or a business process you wanted to involve, ensure that it is a event driven trigger. All right, so most of the implementations you might have seen that all are event driven now, as well as in the future it's going to be the more and more event driven provisioning processes would takes place. Yeah, all right. Next thing I would say is AI driven role assignment, guys. Okay, AI driven role assignment. Well, as of now, what we are doing, okay, user can come to the platform, our IGS solution, okay, and then they can just go ahead and just submit a request for certain role, or and then it goes to certain approval procedures, and then you get a access over there. Well, no, what I'm saying is AI driven is no smart access, based on your peer groups. Okay, if now I would say AI that okay, if this guy is having this access, this group membership, then well, he should have to have this particular role assigned to him. Okay, as he is already part of this group. Okay, so that's what it is, guys. Okay, if user is having this particular group membership, then he should have this particular role membership as well. Or if the no, if the user is having this role, then he should have this particular group membership as well. Okay, so that's what. Okay, AI driven changes, AI driven role assignments can ensure that the users are having a proper access things. Okay, without any mismatches. Next, the continuous certification process to keep up your regulatory compliance. Okay, continuous access reviews, no, access review processes. Okay, beyond the periodic access reviews. So if it is a bank, what we do is no, we do the regular audits, right? So timely audits, 3 months once, or quarterly, or annually, or no, maybe weekly. So no, based on the priority of the data, or the importance of the data over there. Okay, so the continuous access review process is also one of the key things. So, yeah. Next, all right. So next we have the cloud scale governance, guys. Okay, so work across the all SaaS platforms, on premises, and hybrid platforms over there. Okay, ensure that everything is being audited, everything is being integrated, with a proper approaches. Okay, so when I say proper approaches, so yeah, take web services, or restful services, or a skim services. Ensure you integrate them with your IGA platform, yeah, to make it more governance. Okay, to ensure that they are enterprise uh, audit application. Okay, so or make it market as enterprise audit application. Okay, so something like that. Well, so if AI driven changes are implemented, so see, the access privileges will be granted to the user within minutes, guys. Okay, so within just a minutes of the user can get a right access. Okay, so the role change adjustments will also happen on automatic basis, as they are event driven. Okay, as they are no AI driven. Okay, so system will automatically adjust those accesses according to the role changes there. Okay, and then the exit processes, so that's your revocation processes, that is the decommissioning process. You need to have it as instantly possible, as much as instantly possible. No, it needs to be revoked over there.